Welcome to the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast with Russo and Jordy.
It's Friday, week 6, and we are excited to break down the whole Sunday slate. We're going to recap Thursday Night Football, and we're going to get into some DraftKings lineups. I hope you guys are having a great start to your weekend. Russo and Jordy, my beloved co-host over here, we can't wait to break down this whole slate. It's been a lot of fun, and we do have a lot. That's my man on the drops over there. But we do have a lot to talk about with Thursday Night Football, and we'll break all that down. But before we do, we just want to shout out our partners at Underdog and Sleeper. We've been having a lot of fun with Underdog, especially because they've improved the platform so much. If you guys like playing daily fantasy and you're not on Underdog yet, you should definitely take advantage of everything they're doing right now. They're running Boost-tober, so every single day you get a new boost that you can apply to your slips for Pick'em. And they're going all the way up to like a 50% boost. So you just make out your slip and add the boost to it, and you just get a much larger multiplier. And they've got the best ball tournaments going on over there. It's just a lot of fun. They've really improved with like the alt lines and plays as low as $1. So if you want to jump on Underdog, use code Backdoor. You'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick just for signing up. In addition to everything else that they've been dropping. And just a little spoiler alert, there are going to be a lot more exciting things coming from Underdog as we get closer to the NBA season. So take advantage of that. Go through the link in the description. Use code Backdoor if it prompts you for a promo code, and you will have access to all of those sign-up bonuses. And then for Sleeper, if you guys want to play Sleeper Picks, it's also a lot of fun. And I love that it's just built right into the Sleeper app where you should be playing fantasy football if you're playing fantasy football. It's the best platform by far. So if you guys want to sign up for Sleeper Picks, use code Backdoor FS. Just add the FS on the end, and they're going to give you a 100% deposit match up to $100. They're running discounts every day as well. They've been really getting after it with the alt lines. Both of these platforms have the flex play option, which is like an insured play. So all these platforms are getting it right. Some of these platforms that used to not have the flex option, like that seems so far in the past now. But that was Chalkboard when we first started. That was Sleeper. And they're all it's kind of nice the way one platform gets out there and does a lot of things right, and it forces all of the other platforms to comply with those changes if they want to compete in the market. So we're getting to reap all those benefits. So sign up for Sleeper, use code BackdoorFS, and take advantage of that as well. All right. So let's talk about Thursday Night Football.
Let's do it.
You want to kind of kick this one off? I'm gonna pull up the box score while you're doing that.
The game ended 36-24. San Francisco ended up getting this win. In my opinion, Geno Smith was the reason the Niners were able to win this game pretty convincingly. I just think that there was just a lot of weird things. Like every interception Geno threw, I went back and watched him again, and the dude wasn't under pressure. On the second one, he had to step up a little bit, but he had plenty of time. The guy he had to step up from actually ended up falling down, so he was just kind of, he had a clean pocket, and then he just throws it right to the defensive back who was like blanketing the receiver. I don't know. I think it was Tyler Lockett, but it was just a weird one from him. I mean, he failed to really get DK2 involved. DK only had 3 receptions for 48 yards. He spread the ball out plenty. Noah Fant had 6 receptions for 63 yards. He averaged 10 yards a catch. He looked pretty solid. It was just weird. I mean, Kenneth Walker having 8 receptions, that's a good and bad thing. I feel like when you're down that far, you're obviously going to be, throwing the ball around, trying to get receptions anywhere you can, but you got to get your star receivers more involved, man. DK Metcalf having 3 receptions. I know he's like doubled, a lot of the night, but JSN needs to have a big game if that's the case. Tyler Lockett ended up having an okay game. But I thought this game fell more on Geno Smith than it did, like the Seahawks defense or anything, because I thought their defense was holding up pretty solid until he started throwing picks.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because, I mean, DK did lead the team with 11 targets.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's like, do we chalk this up to play calling? I mean, there's also that really bad penalty from Kenneth Walker when he failed to stop moving when he spread out wide, cost them that monster touchdown from DK, which would have put him well over 100 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, 3 receptions. And you know what? Honestly, I'll push back just a little bit because there were some dimes that Geno got to DK that he should have caught and he missed. Like he had like butterfingers in like the first half. And so, but what I didn't like was, I mean, obviously the picks from Geno were absolutely on him. That one pick, where he didn't see the defender. I think it was a rookie, and he cut in front and grabbed it. Like, yeah, that was like a good play, but it was also like, it just seemed like Geno's reads, because you're right, he had so much time in the pocket last night.
Yeah.
And this is back-to-back weeks now where Geno just couldn't get things rolling. And yeah, I mean, it's a tough one because it's like, geez, I mean, he had 52 attempts, went 30 for 52, 312 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. If that play wasn't called back, that would have been, probably like at least 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. But what I didn't like was seeing, I know that it's frustrating and you're playing at home and, you're playing your first divisional game at home, and losing last week to the Giants without Malik Neighbors is frustrating. And then, so he just looked like he was flustered. Like I didn't like his demeanor when he threw those picks. He seemed like he was kind of blaming everybody else but himself. And then we see the clip of him, banging the tablet against his head, and throwing it at the ground. I'm like, dude, these guys just, these players and coaches just have like such a green light to destroy tablets every game. It seems like they just do not care. But yeah, I mean, it was a tough one. And I'll say, even on top of all of this, the 49ers, they took control of that game, but that was like such a terrible blown call on the muffed punt. I believe it was a punt. I don't think it was a kickoff, but you know what I'm talking about, where they reviewed it and then the 49ers challenged it, and you could clearly see it hitting his hand. And then we get news today that New York or wherever they review those came out and made a public statement that they got that wrong and that they didn't have the angles that we saw on TV, and they couldn't see it. And it's like, that's just like that's something the NFL needs to address like today immediately, because there's no reason that like Amazon should have like multiple HD angles that the crowd is seeing, and then these guys that are actually making the changes. So that didn't keep the 49ers from winning, but that's a huge miss in a professional sport. Like they need to, I was shocked when I heard that they just didn't have those angles. I'm like, you guys should have more angles than we do, so all that being said, Jordan Mason was looking pretty solid to start. And then he goes down with that shoulder injury. They go back into the locker room with him, and they do an X-ray. And then you hear Kyle Shanahan saying, we're going to put him back to work. And then he goes out for one play and comes back in. I don't know about you, but for prize picks, I had a couple slips with Jordan Mason that I was like, okay, this slip is going to cash if he gets rebooted, or if he comes back and plays the full game. And then I didn't even see, I don't think Prize Picks rebooted that, but that would have been nice since he only played one more snap and then he was out.
Right.
But nine carries for 73 yards, basically just in the first half. Like if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, he was on pace for a monster game.
Right.
And Isaac Guerrero looked really good. I feel like everybody they plug in, even that dude, Patrick Taylor, was looking pretty solid. But yeah, Isaac Guerrero, 10 carries, 99 yards. He broke one off for 76. Just like everybody they plug, it's like all these guys they plug in. This Kyle Shanahan offense, the run game is so solid that they just plug them in. And they look good. Obviously, this was a pretty solid matchup for running backs, but they got this win. But we're really hoping Christian McCaffrey can get back soon. What were you about to say? I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, I was just looking at it and looking at going back on the Geno having a clean pocket. I was looking at it here. Shout out to this app Reel, by the way. They're really on top of their game when it comes to like pulling up stats for games. Sometimes I have a hard time finding things like quarterback pressures or whatever. We're not sponsored by these people, but they're just like a really good app, I think. But they were showing on here that they were the San Francisco defense was only able to touch Geno 5 times. He only got sacked twice in the entire game, and there was only 8 quarterback pressures. That's not a lot. So he did have 50 attempts, so it's like he was getting the ball off, but it's like, I don't know, I just wanted to see a little bit more from Geno. I know he didn't play a horrible game. The 2 interceptions were really, really costly, but there was the 2 fumbles also for the Seahawks, which hurts. But it's just I don't know. I feel like this game could have been won in a couple different ways by the Seahawks. Going back on that though, the Seahawks only had 4 quarterback pressures the entire night and no sacks. So they're, Purdy had a clean pocket to go win that game for sure. So it's tough. I mean, you're not getting a single sack on the quarterback. That's, a big shout out to Purdy too, because the dude does get the ball off super fast. That dude is playing super confidently right now.
He's so good, man.
Yeah, he's wheeling and dealing, and there's not a lot honestly that I don't like about Purdy's game. I mean, 18 for 28. Honestly, a lot of the misses he had were good misses. You could tell he kind of sails the ball when he has to because he doesn't want it to get picked. He plays a safe game, and he's got really, really athletic receivers who know where he's going with the ball, so they kind of know what to expect. This is a guy who doesn't need his receivers to have 8 completions to have a monster game. I mean, Debo had 3 receptions for 102 yards and a touchdown. He's got insane talent around him, so just win the game. That's exactly what you want from a guy like this. You have playmakers. You don't do anything too stupid. Just win the game, and that's what he did in this game tonight. He didn't have to go crazy and try to make a monster play down the field or anything. He just went out and won the game.
Yeah, I mean his IQ for the game is so impressive, and it's always fun when you see a situation where he goes so late in the draft. I don't even remember how late it was, but I think it was like the last day of the draft or something. Might not have been that late, but we know
I think it was the 6th round.
Yeah, he went. I know something like that, and also hats off to Kyle Shanahan for fixing that situation. I mean, and the whole management of the 49ers, but it's like you go and you draft Trey Lance. Did they take him? How high did he go?
He went in the first round.
Yeah, he was. I think he was like, he went super high. Like they went and made trades to get that pick, and they traded up for him. And it's like making the switch to Purdy. While you pull that up, like making that switch to Purdy early on, just very impressive. And then you go and you don't see Lance play again, and then they trade him away. It's like it's just very impressive, because Brock Purdy is looking like one of the smartest quarterbacks in the league. Super humble dude. He's been using his legs a little bit more when he needs to, but he's so efficient. Like you said, just 18 completions to go and win this game, spreading the ball out to everybody.
Yep. He was drafted 3rd overall, by the way.
Trey Lance.
Yep.
Yeah. And then in hindsight, it's just pretty wild. Like, I know that there was all this talk about the testing. I don't know what that IQ test they take. when they're evaluating players, but they did say Brock Purdy like dominated that test.
Yeah,
and
CJ Stroud scored the worst on it. Look at him.
Yeah, and so it doesn't cover everything, but you can clearly see that Brock Purdy is very dialed in. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, just very efficient. So I mean, hats off to him. He looks great. We did talk about Debo potentially having a bounce back game where they might try to force him, and that this was kind of like a narrative we came up like after the fact. Yeah, he did seem like the sort of a focal point of the offense, but yeah, good win for the 49ers. It just makes this NFC West even tighter. Now you've got, the Niners 3-3, the Seahawks 3-3, the Cardinals 2-3, I believe. Yeah, I think they're 2-3.
That was why I picked the Niners. I mean, that was kind of an obvious choice, but they needed this win. They had to get it. If they went to 2-4 in this division, it was looking pretty rough. So that's what I was saying yesterday. I was like, they need this win more than the Seahawks do right now. The Seahawks obviously want to win and stay on top of the division, but the Niners, they're too good to be 2-4. So
yeah, and there's clearly like a little bit of a situation going on too. Like the Seahawks have been missing a lot of key players on defense, and even the games that the Seahawks are hanging in, it's like these are super high scoring games. So we've yet to see them. I mean, they looked great when they had their starters at the beginning of the season, all healthy, but yeah, other than that, I mean, yeah, it was basically, I mean, gosh, George Kittle, another monster game.
Yeah.
What did he go for? 2 touchdowns. Yeah, 5 for 58 and 2 touchdowns. And, this was like, the Seahawks have been really good in the red zone against tight ends. And then he just goes and grabs 2 on them, just playing out of his mind. And he's so like, he's such a unique tight end because obviously he's super athletic and great with yards after the catch and just super physical. But he's like such an important part of their run game too. Like he's such a good blocker. So, all right, cool. Well, I mean, yeah, not a whole lot more to talk about. But yeah, Kenneth Walker, this is back-to-back weeks. Like when Ryan Grubb was talking about getting Kenneth Walker involved in the passing game, and it's wild to think like up until the regime change with coaching, Kenneth Walker never caught the ball. And here he is, back-to-back weeks. I think that this is maybe 3 weeks in a row where he's had like 6 or more receptions. So pretty solid. Definitely great for fantasy if you're playing full PPR.
No.
All right, let's dive into this Sunday slate.
Enjoy sports betting and daily fantasy? Well, Daily Grind is here to help you beat the books. They make premium DFS tools that do all the work for you, comparing lines across just about every platform, looking for discrepancies for you to take advantage of. Start off your research with their DFS Optimizer, a tool that finds all the best plays and rates them with their odds to hit indicator. Or if you'd rather have them make your entire slip for you, they have you covered with their AI slip generator. They'll even notify you when a new slip is available. Go to dgfantasy.com and use code Backdoor. They will give you 25% off your first subscription all the way up to a year if you want. That's dgfantasy.com, code Backdoor.
So we've got a 9:30 a.m. game again in London, I believe.
Okay.
This one's going to be fun, I think. The Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Chicago Bears, 44.5 over under. Bears favored by 1.5. And for fantasy, I've gone back and forth because I've just been loving this emergence, this sort of breakout for Brian Thomas Jr. And this one makes me a little bit nervous, but I think I gotta start him still. The Bears have been stout against wide receivers, but I just think he's been too good, and I don't really have anyone on my bench I would rather play over him personally.
Yeah, but, this is a tough game for the Bears. They're in the NFC North. This is a really stacked division right now. You got the Vikings in the lead, 5-0. The Lions 3-1, Bears 3-2, and the Packers are 3-2. So they're all headhunting for the Vikings right now, who look like they're going to win the division. I mean, it just depends on how they keep going. I think the Packers, in my opinion, end up either in second or first. I think it's going to come down to, maybe I'm pulling too much disrespect on the Vikings here, but I think they're going to kind of come down to earth soon. And I think either the Lions or the Packers are going to win that division, just in my opinion. I think the Lions just look really good, and I think they've had a little bit of a slow start. But the Vikings, man, they do look really, really good. So for the Bears, if they want a chance in this division, they need to win every game they can get. So they really need this win. This is not a easy win, but this is one they should on paper go and get. The Jags are, a plus 200 team. They're not doing very good right now. They're 0-3 away. I don't know where this game is. Is it in Chicago? Oh, it's in
London,
right? So
but yeah, Chicago's the home,
right?
There, but it's like, what does that actually mean in another country?
Right. So we'll see. I think the Bears should win this game. If they go and lose this game, that's really rough. But
yeah, I think so too. I was kind of surprised at this spread at just 1.5, because I think the Bears should pretty convincingly win this. But I mean, because it's a juicy matchup for the Bears offensively, and it's a really tough matchup for the Jaguars defensively.
I think, to be fair though, the Bears have only looked good offensively for like the last week to week and a half. I want to say 2 weeks, but really, like, the person who looked good I think it was week 3 was DeAndre Swift. He looked really solid in that one game, and then now Caleb finally had his coming out moment in the last game. So they look really solid in the last game, but it was the Panthers. We got to remember that. That's a struggling franchise right now. Their DBs are good, and he was going right at JC Horn the entire game, which I liked. I liked the confidence from him to go straight to DJ Moore right at JC Horn, who is really, really like a lockdown corner. And he exposed him in that game, so it was fun. That was a really cool performance from him. But
because the defense was actually pretty rough in that game. But you know what though, like it seems like there's been sort of this lingering situation with DJ Moore. Like, we know coming into the draft, he didn't want the Bears to trade Justin Fields. He said there's two quarterbacks. He was like, he said something like, there's 2 quarterbacks in this draft, and neither of them are better than Fields. So he was kind of like, chopping down the hype about the Bears going and getting a quarterback. Turns out Jaden Daniels is much better than Justin Fields so far from what we've seen. Arguably, we'll see how Caleb can keep things going. But it did seem like, we saw a lot of frustration in the first few weeks with DJ Moore. And I don't know if you heard about that moment where Caleb Williams told DJ Moore, kind of got him was just kind of telling him like, dude, you need to focus. Like, and it was like sort of this moment of like, this could have caused drama. And DJ Moore actually kind of respected him being willing to speak up to a veteran.
Well, that's good. That's better than DJ Moore going and laying his head on the bleacher and just pouting the entire game.
But it seems like DJ Moore's buying into this a little bit more, and their connection does look like it's getting a little bit better over the last 2 weeks.
It's good. Yeah. I think we'll see as the season goes on. So far, Jaden Daniels looks like, the guy that you should have went and got. But I think Drake May is really good too. I think Drake May, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. He's going up against Houston. They're either gonna give this kid a really rough time. I think Drake May is really, really good, and honestly, in my opinion, I think he has one of the better arms out of the talent coming out of the draft. So I'm really excited to see him. I've been kind of saying that for the last couple of weeks now. I'm like, man, I just want to see them throw Drake May, and I know it's maybe not the responsible thing to do. You want to protect him, but you're not winning games with Jacoby Brissett. We'll get into that in a minute, but I'm excited to see what this whole rookie class looks like, because Bo Nix hasn't looked horrible either. But he's just, in a weird situation with that whole team. But their defense is crazy.
Yeah. We have Evan Ingram back this week, so that should help the Jaguars a little bit. We're hoping to see a start from Tank Dell, but I'm sorry, Tank Bigsby. But I don't know. Have you seen anything? Is there talk about him potentially starting?
Let me click on him here. He's off the injury report, which is great. ETN is limited in practice, so.
Okay. See, I would love to see, even if he's healthy, I'd love to see them say we're gonna give
I'm
Tank
flexing
the start.
him this week either way. I'm starting him. I got no Kyron Williams. I was kind of waiting to see what was gonna happen with Devin Singletary because I also have Tyron Tracy. He's still dealing with the groin injury, so it's gonna be tough. Because Tyron Tracy looks really good too, and they're playing Cincinnati, whose defense is horrible. So it's gonna be a hard decision to make. But I think I gotta go with Tank.
Yeah, I know the Bears are tough, but I just think Tank looks like he's giving this offense a different gear when he's in the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not really personally. I'm hoping that Christian Kirk takes more of the focus. I know that they have to know Brian Thomas Jr. has been a stud so far, but I'm hoping things actually open up a little bit for Brian Thomas Jr. But I personally, if I had Christian Kirk, I'm trying not to start him this week.
I don't even think Brian Thomas is in that tier. I think he's a tier above that where like he makes the opportunities. Like that guy is that good where it's like I don't think as this guy progresses, it's really like a Trevor Lawrence just getting him the ball thing. This is a guy who could be putting up monster numbers and he's been doing really good, but like if you look at just the film on Brian Thomas Jr. and how open he is on some of these plays, the dude is like in that elite tier, in my opinion, of like, get him the targets and watch him just take over the game. So I think it's just going to get better and better for them. If they can just give Trevor Lawrence a little bit of time to realize the connection he could have there, I think it could be nasty. Yeah.
And the thing about Brian Thomas is you don't even need, like, this is someone who can get you nearly like 3 receptions for 100 yards is not overstating it. Like the dude is averaging like 20 plus yards a reception right now. And so, yeah, I mean, this is 3 weeks in a row that we had, 9 targets, 8 targets. I would love to see that go up into the double digits pretty regularly. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, other than that, I think that as far as fantasy goes, I'm just looking at, obviously you should be starting DeAndre Swift. You're going to be starting. I really like DJ Moore in this game. I think that connection is just getting really solid. And so then this is a soft matchup for him. We have that 44.5 point over under. So we'll see, like we've talked about before, some of these overseas games tend to be a little bit more run heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Good. It's a good start to a Sunday.
For sure.
Let's talk about why you should be using Chalkboard, the daily fantasy platform that runs specials every day of the week. Build plays for as low as $1 and enjoy the wide variety of alt lines. The higher the line, the higher the payout. It's that simple. Once you've made your picks, you can go whole hog with their max cash option or insure yourself with their shield play option. Download Chalkboard on your Apple or Android device and use code Backdoor for a 100% deposit match.
All right, so next up on the slate, we have the Washington Commanders at Baltimore playing the Ravens, 51.5 over under. This is going to be an exciting game.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see the Ravens come out and play like they did last week. I'd love to see a game like that.
I would love to see a game like that again.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, that was super exciting. And what I'm curious about too is like, for some reason, I feel like I'm getting this gut feeling like potentially this could be a situation where John Harbaugh has a good scheme against Jaden Daniels. It's a pass funnel defense, but they can't do this all year, can they? Like
Yeah, I don't
Cliff
know.
Kingsbury and Jaden, like, I mean, they weren't able to slow down Joe Burrow last week, so maybe I'm wrong about that, but I just think, like, when does Jaden Daniels come back to earth with
Yeah.
this incredible start?
I do
Um,
know that I am starting Isaiah Likely in this game.
okay.
I made that decision last night where I'm like, it's too juicy of a matchup for him. He's too big. He's too athletic for this defense. Like, that is the biggest problem that the Commanders defense is having on the back end is they're just too small. Like, the size matchups are, they have good players. That's not what it is, but they need to get size back there. Like, I think the biggest player they have on the second level is probably Bobby Wagner, and he's old. So you need to get some bigger guys back there. You need some longer, bigger DBs, who can play man to man, because that's what Dan Quinn wants is, someone who can go back there and make some tackles. But if Derrick Henry gets to the second level on this defense, my lord, you better just get on your knees and pray, because those guys ain't tackling him, man. They're just not. I think Derrick Henry is going to have a monster game tomorrow or
Yeah,
Sunday.
like,
I keep saying tomorrow when we do these. I don't know what I'm doing.
it's all good. Yeah, so, like, here's my question. Do the Ravens try to slow this game down?
Probably not.
Because they didn't seem like they were trying to, but it's like with the Commanders, with how fast they play, you would think, like, maybe a potential way to get them out of their rhythm is, like, slowing this game down a little bit. So
yeah, I think it's weird. The Ravens, like, they just go tit for tat. Like,
yeah,
Cincinnati came out hot. They were screaming down the field. They were getting these crazy big touchdown plays. And then Lamar just came out and was like, all right, watch what I can do too. It's like you have that level of confidence that comes from Lamar. Like, that dude he can really be clutch. Like, he's all these people who say that he can't throw the ball is just crazy. Like, I'm like, his throw is unorthodox. Yeah, he sidearms a lot of his stuff, but it works. If it works for you, it works for you. Like, not everyone's a baseball player and throws a beautiful pass like Patrick Mahomes. People have different throwing forms and stuff. Like, he does fine.
I don't understand where this narrative about his passing game came from, though, because we've seen for years, like, Lamar is a good passer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, I remember his, I think it was like maybe even his rookie year or his second year, like, against the Cardinals. I was watching that game and he was just, like, chopping them up, like, just distributing, like, these beautiful dimes, like, deep and, short. Like, I haven't seen that. I always thought Lamar is actually a really good passer. And people focus so much on his run game and his ability. Like, obviously he's incredible on his feet, but I don't know where this has come from about, like, Lamar not being a good passer.
Just to put it in perspective for you, last year, or the year before, 2024, he didn't play a full season. So I'll go off 2023 here. 67% completion percentage, almost 4,000 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, but he averaged a 102 quarterback rating for the entire season. The dude's throwing the ball at a high level. You're averaging over a 60% completion percentage, and you're throwing for almost 4,000 yards and almost 25 touchdowns. Like, that's a good quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, even just passing the eye test, like,
yeah,
I don't know where it came from, but
yeah.
Obviously, so yeah, this is definitely, you're not going to not start Zay Flowers this week. He should have a good game.
Yep.
I actually do like the likely start, because I think that he is the tight end one there. Like, they're not getting involved much, but he does seem like he can be put out in a lot more packages.
He's a red zone threat. Like, he's becoming a red zone threat, like, heavily. Like, if you're throwing the ball into the back of the end zone, he's probably back there waiting for it. So,
right. And then Brian Robinson is going to be a game time decision. So if he ends up being out and you're desperate at flex, I like Jeremy McNichols, like, deep sleeper. But he's getting a lot of red zone usage, and I like Austin Eckler too. I'm not saying these guys are going to be RB1s or anything, but I'm just saying, if you need a flex and Brian Robinson ends up being out, I would throw in one of those guys if you really needed it.
Absolutely.
All right. Buccaneers versus the Saints, 41.5 over under. Tampa Bay favored by 3.5, playing in New Orleans.
I think this is going to be a good game. I think people will be surprised. Dare I say I picked the Saints to win this game.
With Spencer Rattler. Okay.
I think Spencer Rattler is really, really good, man. I don't think this kid's really gotten to, show off his tool set yet, but, anyone with these new light-skinned quarterbacks nowadays are calling all these kids the Make-A-Wish Patrick Mahomes. Like, I know it's different with the kid in Nebraska right now. That dude is actually, like, pulling off identity theft. But when it comes to Spencer Rattler, there are similarities there as well, but I think he's really, really good. So if he can get the ball going and they protect this kid, I pick the Saints to win this game. Truly, I do.
Okay. And you had Mike Evans as your start of the week at wide receiver.
Yep.
41.5 over under. I hope this turns into a nice high scoring game because I got to start Baker this week. I mean, I have Anthony Richardson, but I just don't want to throw him in with Michael Pittman now going to injury reserve.
Yeah.
Josh Downs dealing with a little bit of something.
Alec
I think
Pierce. He's the guy.
Chance to play. He is. I need to see it happen. I need to see things get a little consistent with Anthony Richardson before I can trust. Jonathan Taylor's still out. Trey Sermon is good to go, but he was dealing with a little bit of an injury. So it's Baker for me, and I really hope we see a monster game from Baker. I would love to see this go over 41.5. And we got Rachaad White questionable. Yeah, I don't know, man. Even what's his name? Rashid Shaheed looks like he's going to play, but he's questionable too. So this one is I'm apprehensively starting Baker. I hope he just surprises me and balls out. All right. Next up, did you have anything else on that one?
No. I think that's my hot take of the week. So I picked the Saints.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say that's not that hot, but you have a rookie quarterback. So yeah. Okay. Hot take of the week. Jordy is saying, and you're what? You've missed one, and it was that game against Cincinnati.
I'm 4-1 right now. Because we're in week 5, right?
Nice. And that one almost, that last week you almost got that one with the Bengals.
Yeah, so close. Burrow let me down.
Sorry. 1 sec. I'll be back in control. Cool. All right. Next up, we've got the Browns versus the Eagles playing in Philadelphia. 42.5 over under. Philly favored by 9.5.
Jeez.
Man, this has just been hard to watch with Deshaun, man.
Yeah, dude. I don't know what kind of drugs I was smoking last week where I picked him as my DraftKings quarterback, but don't let me do that again, please.
I'll keep you accountable.
Yeah. I don't even know, man. I think he's going to just take this money and hightail it into retirement.
He's not going to get another job anywhere.
He doesn't even look like he cares. He literally is just like the most unmotivated quarterback I've seen this year. To be favored by 9.5 in this game. I know they got Devontae Smith back. The Eagles do. I don't know if they got AJ Brown yet.
I think AJ is supposed to play. I'll pull that up and double check real quick.
If both those guys play, sure, give me 9.5. They'll light them out of the building. But it's the Eagles didn't look good last week either. So
yeah, he's supposed to play AJ, which will be great.
Yeah,
that'd be great for fantasy. Get this team back rolling because when these guys are back, it opens up everything.
Yeah.
It'll be good for Barkley too.
Yeah.
And you got to be stoked for Barkley this week. Man. I know that defense is tough, but if they're favored by 9.5.
Yeah. He'll be a part of that somewhere.
Yeah, dude gets ridiculous usage.
Yeah. It's scaring me a little bit. I'm like, I don't want him to get hurt. He's dude's just gone for almost 100 yards in every single game this year, and he's just been amazing. I mean, it's been super fun. So many people I had the most trade offers I've ever had when it came to Dynasty for Barkley, and I'm like, no way. Like, everyone was trying to like lowball me, saying he was gonna be like old. I'm like, you guys are tripping. I know what's going on here. The whole league's headhunting me in trades right now because I pulled some miracles off last year. But this year I haven't really done too much. The biggest trade I did this year was the whole Zach Moss for Aaron Jones thing, because I figured at some point Aaron Jones would get hurt, and now they're both hurt. So,
Right.
but yeah, back to the topic at hand. Let me see if I can keep my brain on track here. I think, give me the Eagles in this game. Obviously, I don't think anything about the Browns looks fantastic.
No, and I mean, like, if you have Amari Cooper for fantasy, like it's
I think
it's an
get
okay
traded,
start.
don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually, but I mean specifically in this game for this week for fantasy, like
Right.
the thing with Amari Cooper is you can't ignore the targets week after week. So that's why I've got him in some redraft leagues, and I kind of just, when I have someone else I can start, great. But he, he could pop off at any time, but it's been Deshaun Watson, but also he's been, underperforming as well, because you've got, his lowest week was last week against Washington, 82% of snaps. So he's on the field all the time, but I mean, 10 targets for 4 receptions and 60 yards. It's not, it's not something you're happy to do, starting Amari Cooper, but it could be worse. Like if your hands are tied, you got to just throw him in there. 42.5 over under. The matchup isn't scary for Cooper, but like it is obviously a mess. Like the 10 targets can mean anything. It doesn't mean that those are catchable targets, but it's also been like, I think what's going on with Amari Cooper is I think that he's just like, dude, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah, he's totally mentally spent.
Yeah, because when you've got the run they went on last year with Joe Flacco, like you go from that to like you get your starter back and it looks like this. Like this Deshaun Watson stuff is like that chemistry in the locker room, like it's lingering into the whole team. And now imagine you're Amari Cooper or any of these guys, and how much Deshaun Watson is getting paid versus what you're getting paid, and you see this demeanor and this attitude. Like it's honestly disgraceful for the NFL. Like the fact that they paid him all that guaranteed money and traded away 3 firsts to get him. Like this has got to be the biggest blunder in NFL history.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
So I feel bad for guys like Amari Cooper. Like hopefully he does get traded, but I mean, anything would be better than the Browns right now, unless they, throw in a different quarterback, which honestly,
who's their backup?
You have DTR, okay. and what's his name? Why am I blanking right now? The most cringe quarterback who's hilarious but cringe.
James Winston.
Yeah.
That's all you have to say.
Yeah. Yeah, who's like cringe, but you can't stop watching, and it's also hilarious. But honestly, like, how long are we going to wait before you throw in Winston? Like Winston would bring this thing to life. Like at least he
if you're throwing it all the way down the field, that's for sure.
Yeah, and like at least he has some passion for the game.
Yeah, you got it. He's the triple crown, man. He had the most yards, most passing touchdowns, and the most interceptions in one year. What did he have? Like 30 interceptions or something? Wasn't it ridiculous?
It was pretty wild, but that would be dramatically better than what we're seeing from Deshaun Watson. Like they need that passion in there. Like,
yeah,
I saw enough a long time ago, but especially when Deshaun has his coach yelling, "Go for it," and he just walks off the field, like it's really disgusting. Like, so hopefully they make a change soon. Like,
yeah, just real quick, 2019, he had a completion percentage of 55.7, 5,100 yards, 33 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. That's crazy.
Dude, I remember I'm not going to quote it just right, but I remember him saying something about that and being like, yeah, but if you take away the interceptions, like, and I know
I remember that.
I know the point he was trying to make, and it is a good point. It's like, okay, yeah, monster year. The interceptions didn't look, but it's just, but I'm just saying, like, dude, get him in there. And like, I've heard rumors that like they actually might.
He also had double LASIK eye surgery after that year.
So yeah, maybe
he
that
was
helped,
just thrown blind. I don't know, but
I've heard rumors that DTR might actually be the next man up.
Makes sense.
But either of those guys, like, you got to get someone else in there. But all that being said, I mean, I'm not starting Amari Cooper where I don't have to, but like there is, like, the targets are there. That's all I can say. If you have to start him.
Yep.
Where were we at here? So yeah, and then as far as Philly goes, obviously you're going to start all your studs. So yeah, we don't need to go any further on that. All right. Next up, we got Colts versus Titans playing in Tennessee. 42.5 over under. Titans favored by 2.5. So yeah, we've got Anthony Richardson starting. At least I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, that sucks because I totally could see Flacco going and winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, he's a game time decision now.
Okay, hype.
Yeah, so let's hope. But we've got Pittman on IR now. We've got Josh Downs, who I believe might also be a game time decision. But Flacco will find a way. That dude, I've got so much confidence in that dude.
That way is Alex Pierce.
Yeah.
If Flacco's playing, Alex Pierce is a worthy flex, let me tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so everyone knows, it's Alec. It's a C at the end, not an X, but
all right. Well, Alec Pierce is a flex
on his name. Yeah, he absolutely is. And maybe even wide receiver too. But if Flacco's in, absolutely, that Alec will catch a deep touchdown.
Yeah.
But I mean, Tennessee is tough on defense. But yeah, I mean, we've got Jonathan Taylor out. Trey Sermon should be good to go. I really like Trey Sermon, especially if Flacco plays, because last week he had like five or six receptions, which was kind of surprising. I know he's a decent pass catcher, but that's pretty solid.
Who do we got starting for the quarterback situation with the Titans?
I believe isn't it going to be Will Levis again?
I hope so. I love watching that guy play.
The comic relief of the week.
Yeah.
Shoulder should start. Will Levis should start for the Titans on Sunday against the Colts. Yeah, they're saying that he's on track to start again this week. I think this could be a bounce back game for Calvin Ridley. Their coach came out and said that he wants to address that. He's going to get him more involved. We had all this talk in the preseason and training camp that he was going to be there. Jamar Chase, haven't seen it yet. But they need to find ways to get him the ball. I think this matchup is just, if you need a bounce back, as long as Will Levis doesn't find a way to mess this up, this matchup should be solid. You've still got DeForest Buckner. I believe he's still on IR. So we'll see. But I'm kind of buying the hype a little bit about the coach speak about Calvin Ridley being more involved. Other than that, yeah, not a whole lot more to say about this. All right. We got Texans versus Patriots. 37.5 over under. Texans favored by 6.5 playing in New England. And we've got the debut start for Drake May.
Yeah.
So this will be one to definitely watch. Like, I mean, I know we say that about every single game. It's because we love football, but like I do think it'll be fun to see how he does in a full game. Like, what if they come out and they look dramatically better?
Yeah. Who was
Um,
my hot take of the week? The Saints, right?
Yeah.
Dare I say, give me the Patriots? I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that. I like the Saints odds way better than the Patriots. I think it's going to be better. I think Drake May is probably going to throw an interception, maybe 2, but I think you're going to see a more of a promising performance. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he goes out there and throws a perfect game. Maybe he just has a couple incompletions and he has a pretty solid start. There's nothing to lose for the Patriots doing this. There's only things to gain. So I think it makes sense. I've been saying this for a couple of weeks now where I'm like, Jacoby looks like Jacoby. He looks like a guy who's a relief quarterback, career start, like backup. He's not a starting quarterback. So he's just a guy you bring in if you need to win a couple games or try to make games close when your guy's out. But I think Drake May is a winner. I think this dude looked really, really good in college, and I think he is the reason why you drafted him. So hopefully he does well. I'm rooting for him for sure.
Yeah. I mean, with the offensive line being such a mess, at least he is going to be more mobile, and hopefully be able to extend plays a little bit. We've got Nico Collins obviously on IR. So
thanks,
Stephon
Nico.
Diggs. Stephon Diggs, that bomb touchdown cost you 4 weeks.
It didn't even help me at all. I still lost.
That was a little bit of payback, because at first because last year I was playing against Jordy in Dynasty and I had Anthony Richardson who came out and scored like 2 touchdowns and then went out, and I thought that I was going to dominate that week when he scored his second touchdown, and then my whole team just collapsed in that game. But he was saying this is the payback. And now it's feeling a little bit more like that, because at first I'm like, no, he leaves the game. That's not the same as Anthony Richardson being out for the season. But now Nico's out for 4 weeks, so it does seem a little bit more similar. But I'd like to see. I really hope that things improve for the Patriots with Drake May and let's see Jalen Polk get more involved. Man,
I'm hyped because I keep hearing the talk about that was his favorite connection in training camp was Polk. So apparently they have this crazy rapport with each other. So I hope to see it. I hope Jalen Polk goes nuts because that dude's just waiting to blast onto the scene for sure.
Yeah, he is. So,
all right.
So on the Texans side of things, Tank Dell, hopefully we see him a little bit more involved. But this, 37.5 over under, the Vegas isn't expecting this to be too high scoring of a game, but with no Nico, I mean, the thing about Diggs is he's been playing a lot out of the slot. So we'll see if they move him around a little bit more, but I think this is like the Patriots defense is solid. So it's not like it's just like an auto like smash play for Diggs, but Diggs has a solid floor this week. Hopefully
Diggs is moving around somewhere. I don't know if you guys have seen all these reports coming out, but my man needs to stay out of trouble.
Oh yeah,
the guy's gonna get shot by some rappers.
Dude is all over the place off the field.
He's moving with intention.
So yeah, they're saying that they're gonna look to expand Tank Dell's role this week with Nico out. So yeah, I mean, I think that it could work with Diggs just kind of staying in the slot and Tank Dell, stretching the field.
Worthy mention, Xavier Hutchinson for Houston. Dude is really, really good. He just doesn't really get the opportunities, but he'll definitely be a factor for sure.
Sweet. Yeah. And we know that CJ Stroud can support like 3 wide receivers. So maybe a sneaky spot for Dalton Schultz too this week. I think Joe Mixon is going to miss another week, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just pull that up real quick.
Yeah, they'll probably get him ready for playoff time. Not that he's going to be out that long, but they're.
Well, I guess he's at practice today, and he practiced yesterday. He remains on track to have a chance. He was the leading rusher, man. He was dominating, and then that hip drop tackle.
Yeah.
Just I get why they're trying to crack down on that, because it really messes dudes up. But
how else do you
all right.
tackle that guy?
It's
my
true.
thing. Like, what are you
Dude is
gonna
a monster.
spear him? Like, you're gonna break your neck.
So next up, we got the Cardinals versus the Packers. This game should be fire. Playing in Green Bay, 47.5 over under. Green Bay favored by 5.5.
How does that make you feel?
So, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I mean, Arizona's been playing better on the road. They just went and beat the 49ers in San Francisco.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to be a 5.5 over under. I think a 1. It should be a 1 point spread. Like, I think this is going to be a very close game. I think the Cardinals have shown flashes on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. Like I said, just watch this game, because the Cardinals rally to the football better than a lot of teams in the league. So their defense is well coached. It's just they have skill issues, I think, where it's just like positional, players. Obviously you got talent like Budda Baker and stuff, but I think they're really, really good on defense.
Yeah, at least compared to what people assume, so smash start for Jaden Reed. You're not starting him anyways, but Christian Watson is still, I believe, not looking to play this game.
Shocker.
Questionable with ankle. Let's see. He practiced on a limited basis yesterday. Yeah, it looks like it's just up in the air still. So, and then Romeo Doubs, who has got some issues with the team, not on the injury report. Let's see. This is wild. So it says, after sitting out this past Sunday and in this past Sunday's win at the Rams due to a 1-game suspension for conduct detrimental to the team, Doubs met with Green Bay brass and had the ban lifted by the team Monday. The ban. This language just sounds like
this is a real problem. Ban this guy.
He then rejoined his teammates on the practice field Wednesday without limitations, setting him up to be available for Sunday. So Christian Watson did return in limited fashion. I mean, regardless, like, we'll see. Like, maybe this was like some serious drama, some reflection time. Maybe there were some apologies issued back and forth. I mean, I don't think Green Bay needs to apologize for anything, but like, there's also situations like this where it's like, look, man, little self-reflection. Maybe he realized pretty quickly, like, what am I doing? Like, and he's a very talented wide receiver. So if he's back, maybe he wants to make it up to the team and play one of his best games. Maybe Jordan Love wants to let him know that they still want him to be a part of the team. Maybe he gets him some looks because he is talented. But Jaden Reed, I mean, for Romeo Doubs, I'm going to kind of wait and see, but this is a great matchup. This should be a high scoring game. Tucker Kraft, little bit of an injury this week. But the thing is, like, he should play, but it's a groin injury. So we don't want to, it makes me a little bit nervous with the potential to re-aggravate something like that. And that's just something that will take you out, like if you're having groin issues, you can't be running down the field like that. But he's looked so good in like last week, monster game. So if he's also a very tough player though. So like if he's cleared to play, I really like Tucker Kraft. That was my start of the week before this groin injury popped up. But yeah, it's kind of hard to say other than Jaden Reed. It's kind of hard to say for pass catchers. Obviously Tucker Kraft, the thing is, like, Luke Musgrave is I think he's going to IR now. So Tucker Kraft will get a lot of snaps, but other than Jaden Reed, you have the Doubs drama. You have Christian Watson, like, limited practicing. You have Dontavian Wicks, who should have been capitalizing on this. Like last week, he should have had a monster game, and the dude's been having trouble catching the ball, and it's unfortunate because he's so talented. So it's kind of hard to say. I think this will be a solid game for Josh Jacobs. And then for the Cardinals, I just hope we get more of what we saw last week with Kyler running the ball more often. James Conner's an every week auto start, obviously. And I would like to see more targets going in the direction of Marvin Harrison Jr. The Cardinals don't look bad. If they could like really take that connection with Marvin Harrison Jr. up to the next level, it could look really good.
Yeah.
We got Michael Wilson, I think is a reasonable like low end flex if you're desperate. I think he'll be open quite a bit with the attention that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to get. And 2 weeks ago he had some troubles with drops, but he kind of fixed that last week, and he's been getting decent targets. I think he had 9 targets last week. Trey McBride auto start, obviously. So I think that about covers that game.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to what you were saying. Honestly, it's that one's just going to be a wait and see kind of game. It'll be a fun game to watch for sure.
Yeah, got a little bit of audio stuff going on over there.
Let me get my phone away from me.
All right, so Chargers versus Broncos, playing in Denver, 35.5 point over under. Chargers favored by 3. This is going to be.
You guys ready to watch this game?
This is going to be a very low scoring game, I think. I do like Broncos defense this week.
Chargers favored by 3?
Yeah.
Why? That is so weird, man.
They've already played this year, haven't they? Or no? Did they play each other?
No, not yet.
Let me take a look. Who did
they played? They beat. They played the Seahawks.
My bad.
Played the Steelers. Played the Bucks. I mean, you're talking about a team that just beat the Bucks and the Jets, and you're favoring them to lose by 3 to the Chargers. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see a bounce back this week for gosh, what's his name? I need an alpha brain. The running back for the Chargers.
Oh,
the dude who busted his leg twice.
J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I need a nootropic right about now. But I'd love to see, because the thing is like they're so committed to this run game. Like he's got a very solid floor. But I think that with how solid the Broncos defense is in the secondary, I think that they're and then you've got the Chargers who want to lead their games with the rushing attack. So I think this could be a sneaky bounce back game for J.K. Dobbins.
I feel like the whole league is treating Bo Nix like he's Zach Wilson or something. Like this guy is playing good ball. Like in the last game, he played a pretty good game. Granted, it was against the Raiders, but 206 for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Like, dude spreads the ball out. He's made little Jordan Humphreys like a viable option, so it's like I don't really understand the Broncos disrespect they keep getting. I think they have probably the best defense in the league right now, and you're talking about a team on offense that are still figuring things out with a young quarterback, but he doesn't look horrible at all. Like the dude is playing very. Yeah, I think he's playing all right. I mean, he played the Jets in a super rainy game, and he went and won that game. 24 completions. Or wait, no, that was not him. That was Rodgers. 12 completions for 60 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions though, and that game was nasty. But that game
highlighting his 12 completions for 60 yards.
That game was nasty though. I mean, it was like pouring down rain. I mean, do you want him to be like Rodgers, 42 for 24? Like,
I agree with you though. Like Vegas, like they're sort of like on and off when their defense is showing up, but 19 of 27, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then getting a touchdown on the ground too. Like, yeah, that's solid.
But he went and played the Bucks and went 25 for 36, 216 yards, no interceptions. So the dude, he's got the capabilities for sure. He's just young. He's going into a very hard, toxic system with his head coach. Like, that dude is just turned into the league enemy, man. Like, I don't remember Sean Payton ever acting this way, but man, he's had a chip on his shoulder ever since he left New Orleans.
Yeah, but the thing is like it seems to be working. Like I don't hear drama about Bo Nix and Sean Payton.
Well, they
like it
were
seemed
cussing at each other and fighting last game.
Were they?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
they were like in a screaming
Scratch
match.
that.
Yeah, they were in a
Okay.
screaming match. But Bo Nix came out after the game and just said that they were both fired up, and it's a good thing. We've heard that before. Rodgers said that with Saleh, and now Saleh is jobless. So I think it definitely is a competitive thing with those two. Bo Nix is not going to back down. The dude is a competitor. He's I'm a competitor. Zion was the one who said that. But it's fun to watch. I'm excited to see what the Broncos can do.
Yeah. And like I'm all for that passion. If at the end of the day you can both say like, hey, we're good. We're both getting super hyped up.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers playing in Las Vegas against the Raiders. 36.5 over under. Steelers favored by 3.
All right. Got some Steelers haters in Vegas.
Yeah, I think the Steelers get this done for sure.
Yeah.
Personally. Are we going Aiden O'Connell again? Is he getting the start?
You think AOC is going to do good against the Steelers defense, huh?
I'm not confident in that, but yeah, he's officially the starter moving forward. Okay.
I can't believe they're actually trying to pin the blame on Gardner Minshew right now. It's like, you really think Gardner Minshew is your problem? Like, have you guys taken a look at your offense, your run game, your O-line, your everything?
So Devontae Adams is increasingly unlikely to play, according to reports. I don't think the Raiders offense has a chance against the Steelers defense. That might be like a duh type of statement, but I expect the Steelers to control this whole game and get it done. Still no Jaylen Warren. I mean, you're going to start Najee Harris. He's not going to do what he should with the opportunities he'll get, but at the same time, like this, where the Arthur Smith effect is definitely happening to Pittsburgh. You've got a stud wide receiver like George Pickens, and it's not going to be. You're not going to see Arthur Smith scheming up plays to just feed his wide receivers. So
yeah. I don't think you're going to see him scheme up anything that ends in a scoring drive.
Well, and then you've got Calvin Austin, who is just waiting to break out, and he's getting like 1 or 2 targets a game still, even after he had that big game. So, I mean, we don't need to spend too much time on this one.
No Jaylen Warren, so go ahead and start Najee.
Yeah.
Have fun with that 50-yard performance.
Yeah, on like 30 carries. All right. Next up, we got the Atlanta Falcons versus the Carolina Panthers playing in North Carolina. 46.5 point over under. Falcons favored by 6.5. This should be a killer game for. This should be a killer game for the Falcons offensively. I think that this. It's not a hot take, but here's my take. I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't a monster game for Kirk Cousins, because I think that they're going to get the lead and then just run the ball. That's my take. If Andy Dalton can bounce back and get something going and keep this game competitive, then it could be beautiful. I mean, they have it at a 46.5 over under, so Vegas is expecting some points to be scored, but we also have Bijan Robinson dealing with a hamstring, unfortunately. I'm so bummed because I have him in Dynasty. So I think we'll monitor that, but this should be a smash play for the offense. So, Drake London, Darnell Mooney is dealing with a little bit of an injury, which is unfortunate because Mooney's been killing it.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's good to go. But I like Drake London. We saw that hot start for him. It seemed like it was kind of like a little bit of a breakout game. So hopefully he can continue where he left off. But this should be a solid matchup. But I'm thinking, obviously if Bijan is out, or if Bijan is even like cleared to play, but we're not getting convincing reports that he's feeling great, then I like Tyler Algier as a flex this week because he's a good running back, and this matchup is just so soft.
Yeah.
Against the Panthers. And I like Chuba Hubbard. Regardless of what's going on, they just keep getting him involved, and he's been delivering. So I like him as a RB2 flex this week. And then Deontay Johnson, do we have any updates about him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting him. It's looking like he's just limited every week in practice. Limited again. Listed as questionable. They're saying he's leaning towards more likely playing. He's practiced all week, so he's limited, but that usually he's been doing that, so he'll probably play. When he gets in the game, he doesn't really look banged up at all. The last game was really chalked up to just being a really bad matchup, and Andy Dalton just kind of got, he was pressured a lot, and the Bears defense is legit. Their secondary and their front is scary. They got Sweat barreling down at you, and then they've got a great backfield secondary covering everybody. So they're very, very talented over there. It was Chicago's backfield, so I think that was just a really, really rough matchup. But I think Deontay Johnson has a bounce back game this week for sure.
Yeah, they need to get him up in the double digit targets range.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on. Detroit Lions versus Dallas Cowboys, 52.5 over under. Detroit favored by 3.
I'm scared for my boys, man. It's going to be a tough one. Without a run game, like our run game is pretty solid. Like we got Rico. We're 31st in rushing. So our rush attack has just not been great. I think it's heading in the right direction with giving Rico, the majority of the carries and kind of shying away from Zeke and letting him be more of like a fullback type player right now. Speaking of fullback, our fullback dude we have is really solid. I like what I've seen from that guy a lot. Yeah, so hopefully they start using him like a Kyle Juszczyk. I would like to see that.
He looks he's passing the eye test. Like that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, I have Rico in Dynasty, and so I want to see him get a lot of work. But just if I'm the Cowboys, I'm like, we got to get this fullback dude more involved.
Yeah,
because
I'm like, am I looking at a Peyton Hillis right now? Like, who is this guy?
He looks explosive when he gets his opportunities.
Yeah,
we know that Detroit is a pass funnel defense. So I think that they're, if you've got one person to focus on that you're going to try to take out of the game, it's going to be CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. So big week for Jalen Tolbert though, because Brandon Cooks is on IR. So if you have Jalen Tolbert, he's flex worthy, especially in this game.
He's wide receiver too.
Yeah.
He's looked great. He looks better each week, and they're expecting a lot of points. So I think that this is going to be just an awesome game. So yeah, I'm a little bit apprehensive to start Rico in this because of the matchup, but it's not like you don't want to get too scared because the usage is there. So I don't expect a huge game from him, but he's like a flex this week, which if he had a better matchup, I would say RB2, but I might end up still flexing him. And if you're dealing with injuries, like it could be worse. I think that because he's so solid in the pass game, and after that performance last week, I think they're going to, keep increasing his snaps. But
it's going to be a fun game. It's always fireworks when these guys play each other. Both games last year, the early game, it was 20-19. The Cowboys eked it out. Very similar matchups too. Obviously our running game's in a little bit of a weirder spot, but that was the early game in the year, and then we usually always play them again on Thanksgiving is usually when the Cowboys and the Lions meet up again. And then last Thanksgiving we beat the brakes off them. It was 24-6. I don't know how this game's gonna look. I think it's always gonna be fun with the two teams matching up against each other. So it should be the 52 over under. Hopefully we get that. I mean, that would be awesome. I love seeing the Cowboys getting these shootout games, and it was really fun to see them clutch out that win in a really close game. We have a short week this week, so it's gonna be a tough week for the Cowboys for sure.
Yeah, smash start for David Montgomery. He should have a monster game, and I like Jahmyr Gibbs
calm down.
too.
I don't know about monster. Hopefully he doesn't have a monster game. I don't want to see one of my Cowboys get baptized like he did Witherspoon. So,
well, yeah, I think that Montgomery and and who knows, like, is this the game where we see them go back to getting Jameson Williams more involved? He's got the speed. So the Lions just have a good problem going on where they have just too much talent. Like you can't have everybody be involved every week. But
yeah.
All right. And then next up we got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the New York Giants playing in New York. 47.5 over under. Bengals favored by 3.5. They're giving the Giants a little bit of respect after last week's performance.
Yeah.
And they looked solid. So
that's our Sunday night game.
Is that the primetime game?
I believe so. Yep.
Okay, so Malik Neighbors is out another week.
What about Singletary?
Let me see here.
Questionable.
Officially questionable.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't play, definitely play Tyron Tracy. I think,
he looked good, man.
Yeah.
It looked really good.
It's tough because it's going to come down to the wire with me on Sunday on who I start, either him or either Tyron Tracy or Tank Bigsby. Luckily I'm in a situation where I have those two, but hopefully they're both not the backup option because it's looking like Zach Moss isn't going to play either. Speaking of this, he's set to play. Okay. So Zach Moss against the Giants, good to go. Not even limited, so we'll see how that plays out.
Cool. So yeah, no Neighbors. We like Darius Slayton as like a flex.
Yeah,
if you need, he played great last week. Maybe Wan'Dale Robinson will be in a little bit better shape. I know that he was dealing with that like foot injury last week, but he still played.
Theo Johnson's a worthy tight end to be looking at now that Daniel Jones is kind of getting in his groove. I drafted him in our rookie draft for Dynasty. I'm just kind of holding on to him, seeing what he's got there. But he looked solid last week. He's really a big dude, huge guy. So I'm really hoping, like, he was insane at Penn State. I've really been hoping that he'll pay off. So definitely keep an eye on Theo Johnson. If he gets going, he's going to be really good.
Yeah, this will be, obviously, you're starting Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They looked really good last week.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. So the Monday night game, Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. What is going on here? 40.5 point over under. Bills favored by 2.5.
Poor Raj.
2.5? You think that they're going to keep it that close? Like,
you think the Jets are going to just lay down and die?
I mean, I think with the drama, maybe they bounce back a little bit.
I think Raj is going to do everything in his power to make Nathaniel Hackett look good. I really do.
But Hackett's not even calling plays, is he? I think. Let me see.
Who did they make their interim coach?
Let's see. Let me pull this up.
He's the offensive coordinator. I know that. Oh, stripped of play calling duties.
Yeah, Hackett.
Yeah, he got Nathaniel Hackett stripped of play calling duties and another huge shift change. Jeez,
it's like they're onto the conspiracy. They're like, we can't let Rodgers just control everything.
Yeah.
So we're getting Saleh out of here. Nathaniel Hackett, you can't call plays
anymore. Good for the Jets. I like it.
Yeah. So Todd Downing, who if I'm not mistaken, last time he was a OC, did not do well. So Jeff Ulbrich is the interim head coach, and he threw Todd Downing into there. So I don't know.
I do
I'm
know
really,
that Todd Downings is a huge run game guy. So kind of
maybe that's it. It's like, what are we doing with Brees getting 9 carries a game? Like,
So I think seeing Rodgers throw the ball 42 times definitely looks a little bit tamperish. Like, why is Rodgers throwing the ball?
It was wasn't it like 54? It was like 54. 54.
Like,
yeah,
okay,
in a game.
Nathaniel, what do we got going on here? You got a little chip in your ear that Rodgers is like, we're just gonna keep throwing it. Because Brees, like we were saying this the other day, like Brees Hall needs to be carrying the ball 20 times a game at least. So it's like,
yeah, at least 25 touches, like whether it's passing or rushing. But that was ridiculous. They had 14 total carries in a game that they lost by 6 points, and then you have Rodgers for 54 attempts.
Yeah.
Like, it was gotten so out of control. That's why I'm kind of surprised. I know the Bills, Josh Allen had a really bad week last week, and things have been looking a little bit questionable over the last 2 games, but I'm surprised that they have the Bills only favored by 2.5 in this.
We'll see. Maybe the Jets come out flying. I would love to see them just hammer the rock in this game, really take control of it early, and just get Brees going. I think Brees is a top 5 running back, so to have him carrying the ball 9 times is criminal.
Yeah, and get Braylon Allen involved too. But so maybe I mean, this will be an interesting one to see how it plays out.
It's gonna be fun.
James Cook, you're starting every week, obviously. Still hard to say, man. Like, I guess it does make a little more sense. Like, I haven't understood the Bills usage either. Like, not making Dalton Kincaid just like a staple in your offense right now doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. We saw Keon Coleman looked a little bit better last week. Still waiting for someone to emerge, but it's just kind of shocking to see that they don't have the Bills heavily favored to win this. But
is it in Buffalo?
No, it's in New York.
Weird.
So
I mean, maybe there'll be a lot of Buffalo fans there, but I don't know. That's gonna be a fun one. I think it'll be a close game, but I don't see the Bills stomping the Jets.
Yeah, so maybe the spread's right. It's just kind of weird to see, but all right. Well, but I mean, that game, for a Monday night game, it'll at least there's some fun drama going on. It'll be interesting to see how the Jets look with the regime change and how everyone's demeanor is, and so. And, making some swift changes. It's Nathaniel Hackett, you're done.
I love it. I hate that guy. I think he sucks.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. But all right. Well, we wrapped up the slate all the way through Monday. Let's get into DraftKings.
Yeah.
Get on our lineups.
I know you smoked me. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Let me pull that up. What was your final score?
I think it was 185 or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Let me take a look here.
I ended up with 156.76. Still wasn't anything too exciting, but
I had 156.78.
Yeah, right.
I had 110.60. I don't know who let me put this lineup together, but I was definitely held hostage when I was doing it because Deshaun and Jerry Jeudy. And Xavier Legette. But you know what? I had some bright points in here. I had Kyron Williams and Trey Sermon. They both put up 19 points. And then I had Nico Collins, who blew his hammy out, but he was off to a red hot start. And then I had Chuba Hubbard, who put up 18. I had the Broncos D. But you got me this week.
Yeah, I think I had a lot of those same players actually. But all right, let's break into it. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go ahead.
Okay, I'll break things open here for us on DraftKings. All right, so at quarterback, I've got Dak Prescott. Taking Dak at 6,700. I just want a piece of this game. 26th. The defense is rated 26th against quarterbacks, and we've got the super high over under. And so I like the price, 6,700. I think he'll have to keep up in this game. All right. And then at running back, I've got Chuba Hubbard. It's just a consistent play, 6,300, a little bit of a tough matchup, but we know he's a steady, he's like the most consistent part of this offense over the last couple of weeks. Even in games where they should be just passing it like crazy, they still just keep feeding Chuba. So I like that price at 6,300. And then my next running back is going to be David Montgomery, 6,500. Again, this matchup, Dallas is really bad against the run. They've been cleaning things up a little bit, but we also know that the Lions, it's a super consistent play. The Lions are going to give Montgomery his touches, and he's a really good running back. So give me Montgomery there. And then for wide receivers, my first wide receiver is going to be Jaden Reed. Going up against Arizona, again, really solid floor, but I think he could have another monster game here. 16th against wide receivers, and this over under, I believe it was like 47.5. This is just, I love this matchup. I want pieces of this game. And then my next wide receiver is going to be Calvin Ridley. I'm going to take a shot here at the coach speak and a soft matchup against Indiana. 5,700, 25th against wide receivers. This one's going to either make me or break me. We could see absolutely more of the same, but sometimes you do have an opportunity to kind of like buy into the coach speak and get ahead of it a little bit. So I'll take that discount at 5,700. And then my third wide receiver is going to be Jalen Tolbert. Get the stack there with Dak, 31st against wide receivers. I think that the focus is going to be CeeDee Lamb. And Tolbert has just been killing it, with his opportunities. Like you mentioned earlier, Brandon Cooks on IR. But I think at this point, Tolbert's just got that number 2 spot locked down. So yeah, looking forward to having another piece of that high over under. And then at tight end, I'm going to be going with Kyle Pitts at 4,400. They made it a point to get him more involved last week from the very first snap. And he's got a really soft matchup here. And so I think that he can be a part of putting points on the board, but he can also be a part of the clock management, just getting first downs and kind of like if they get the lead early and they're just kind of trying to run the clock, they'll run it a couple times and then, get the first down by a little short pass to Kyle Pitts. So I like that price. And then at flex, I'm taking another shot here. I'm going to be going with Tyler Algier at 5,100. I think if Bijan Robinson, like I mentioned earlier, if he's good to go, there's still a chance that Atlanta could get a decent lead, and then they're just running both of their running backs, running the clock. At the same time, if Bijan ends up missing this game for some reason, Tyler Algier is going to smash in this matchup against Carolina, 31st against running backs. Their defense is just really looking rough. So yeah, but even if Bijan plays, I think he'll be somewhat limited. We could see, 60-40, maybe 50-50 backfield split between these two. And then I'm going to be running it back with the Broncos. 3,200. I really wanted the Steelers. I really wanted to take that, but I decided to go with the budget here at 3,200. They've just been so consistent, and I know this isn't as soft of a matchup as they've had in the past. But last week against Las Vegas, they went for 16 fantasy points. Against the Jets, 11. Tampa Bay, they put up 15 points. They've only had 1 week, and that was against Pittsburgh, where they were under 10 points on fantasy. So I'm just going to stay in the flames with the Broncos. Who you got?
Awesome. So for me, at quarterback, I'm going with Kirk Cousins against the Panthers for 6,200. I think this matchup is going to be awesome. I think the Panthers will keep it close enough to make it competitive. So I'm expecting Kirk Cousins to have a big game. I don't think he's going to go for 500 yards, but I think he's going to have a pretty solid game here. So going with Kirk Cousins against the Panthers, who are in the bottom 10 when it comes to the passing game. I'm going with Najee Harris for my running back at 5,800. This is just super cheap for a guy who's going to get this much volume in a game where they're going to control the clock against the Raiders. It's in Las Vegas. The Raiders are terrible. Their defense is awful. So I like Najee in this matchup. I hate, Najee as a fantasy player, but I think this is a good matchup for him. And he's got all the touches coming his way. Jalen Warren is not playing again. And I'm pretty sure Cordell Patterson is still banged up a little bit too. So taking Najee Harris. For my second running back, I'm going with Bucky Irving because there's a chance that Rachaad White does not play in this game. And if he does not play, I think Bucky Irving is going to have a pretty solid game here. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think he'll definitely give me enough for 5,400. Really liking that price tag on him. For my wide receiver 1, I'm going with Stephon Diggs against New England. I think this will be a really good matchup for him. Obviously, he's probably the number 1 on the team right now with no Nico Collins. So for 7,400, I like what Stephon Diggs could potentially give me there. He's been averaging 16.4 fantasy points per game. Hopefully, he can keep it up in this game. For my wide receiver 2, I've got Drake London against the Panthers. I think him and Kirk Cousins will just, link back up. And I think it's starting to look like a real connection between those two. So I really like Drake London in this game. Against the Panthers, so loving that. And then for my wide receiver 3 for 6,500, I'm going with Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers has a really good matchup against Washington. I think this is going to be a shootout of a game. I think they're going to need him. So hopefully him and Lamar get back to what they had last game. He had 12 targets for 7 receptions, 111 yards, no touchdowns though, but he had 22 fantasy points in that game. So hopefully in a full PPR setting that he can get some more grabs like that. That'd be sweet. For tight end, going a little bit cheaper here because I believe that this is going to be one of Drake May's big targets, and this is Hunter Henry. I think it's going to be a good week for Hunter Henry. He's a big dude. He's got good hands, so I think Drake May and him will link up. I've heard some good talks about them, kind of doing well together when they have had the opportunity. So hopefully, when Drake May came in, he only had like 9 attempts, but 2 of those targets were to Hunter Henry in that game. So hopefully he can go back to that well. And then for my flex, I'm putting Alex Pierce in here for 5,400. Little pricey, but I think he'll pay it off. Everyone for the Colts is really banged up right now, and if Joe Flacco is the one to play, I really like Alec Pierce in this game. I think even if what's his name? AR is in there. I think Alec will still be fine. We've seen the big link up touchdowns from them before as well. So I think Alec Pierce is just that good. And then I had to go a little bit cheap with my defense, but I do like this because I am picking them to win this game. And that's the Saints defense at 2,700. I think this is going to be a tough game. I know it in a way kind of counteracts the Bucky Irving play, but I think if the Bucs are going to get something going, it's going to be on the ground because I think the Saints defense is really, really tough in the backfield. The secondary is just really scary. I mean, you have Marshawn Lattimore back there. You got the Honey Badger. There's a lot of really good talent in the secondary for the Saints, and it's always a tough matchup. Baker against the Saints, he's averaging a 62 passer rating against the Saints. He has not had great performances. He's thrown 2 interceptions in almost every single game he's played against the Saints. So it's a really good matchup for the Saints defense. Really tough. Even going back to when he played with Carolina, he only had a 48% passer rating against the Saints in that game. But the most recent matchup, he went 33, completed 22 of those for 300 yards, but he had 2 interceptions and only 1 passing touchdown. So really tough matchup for him coming into this game. So I like the Saints defense in this, and that's my place.
Hashtag Mike Williams is your start of the week at wide receiver.
Mike Williams?
No, Mike Williams, Mike Evans.
Mike Evans. Hey, maybe a little contradictory going on here, but we'll see. We'll see which one I was right on.
He could still have a good week though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous about getting the dub this week. It was pretty solid. I thought about taking Kirk Cousins and Drake London as well. But then I ended up kind of going with the narrative that I like that you think the Carolina Panthers will keep it competitive. Yeah. I hope they do. That'll be more fun to watch, but I also just wouldn't be surprised if the way Dalton's been playing. I mean, I know that it was the Bears, but he had that one monster game against the Raiders, and then it's just been not looking as good since. So I'm hoping, I'm not hoping, that was just the narrative that I went with, was like, maybe this ends up being a run heavy second half, but but that's going to do it. We'll see who gets the dub this week.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for hanging out while we break down the whole Sunday slate. We can't wait. We got another treat of a game, 9:30 a.m., which is one of my favorite matchups of the week too. So just starting Sunday off hot early in the morning.
For sure.
I'll be trying to take a little peek at it when I'm at church. I don't think God will mind if I just check the box score here and there. But we hope you guys have a great weekend, and thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and make sure you follow us on X. We've been dropping a lot of content on X and Instagram and TikTok. We're on all those, so go find us just at Backdoor FS.
Absolutely.
And we will catch you guys in the next video.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop us a comment. You can also find us on all platforms at Backdoor FS.